me hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Comics League Movie Night. I'm Jared. I'm here with Robert. What's up, brother?
Yo, not much. Yourself?
Pretty good. All right, and today we are discussing the way movie night works is each of the co-hosts can pick a movie, and when Robert picked this one, this is the biggest, someone actually picked this, because here's the thing. So we're talking about JLA Adventures in Time. This is a movie that I never hear talked about, ever.
I know, and that always bothers me, because they set this up for us as a series, and yet they never did anything with it.
I mean, so let me tell you this. My one issue with this movie, some of the character designs are a little off.
Oh, without question. Without question.
Robin with sideburns.
To be fair, I think that was trying to be a little Jason Todd-ish.
Yeah, but still, it's like those. He practically had Wolverine sideburns.
Yeah, but there have been some versions, art designs of Robin having sideburns, just not often.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But it's also the idea that, like, okay, so Superman is the leader of the Justice League, where I'm so used to having Batman as the leader.
Batman's always been the unofficial leader, to be fair. And also, you gotta remember, there's always chairpersons who are
That's true, and Superman has been the chairman of the league at some point.
I mean, hey, don't forget that Black Canary was.
Yeah, okay. So the plot of this movie, and actually, Rivaldo says it right. This is the one where Lex Luthor woke up in the future, went back in time, because his idea is, if I make it so Superman never existed on Earth, the Justice League is never formed, which that's not actually a bad plan.
And this is loosely based off of a Super Friends episode, one of the good ones. Where
cool.
Now there's no explanation to how the villains know, but somehow they knew the origins of Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern. So they go back in time and prevented it from happening. And the only reason why things changed is that someone else, some other third party thing, found out about this and decided to undo it all.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but there's a point where Lex goes to stop Hal Jordan, and he ends up saying, "Hal Jordan, get out before you can." He then hops on board, and because the ring doesn't seem to change its mind, takes Lex instead to meet Oppenheimer, and he feel like, well, clearly the ring chose you. Here you go. And they're like, then when Lex makes it back to the present, they're like, "Oh no, it's the Green Lantern." Wrong, it's me, the Green Luthor.
Mm-hmm. So basically, the plot of this is that it takes place. Is that first off, another thing, Captain Cold sounds like Mr. Freeze.
He does.
I'm like, why?
Hold on, let me double check the cast. I know Fred Teixeira, who usually does Hulk, was Lex.
Yeah,
Corey Burton was Captain Cold, who also Time Trapper.
And I will say, I like Diedrich Bader as.
Oh yeah. Give me a more serious Batman.
Yeah,
and Gray as Wonder Woman, because by this point she had done Wonder Girl in the Super Best Friends Forever shorts.
Which I liked her as Wonder Woman. I felt she was pretty cool. I also like, by the way, if you notice, this took place. This came out during the new 52. Her tiara is silver this time, and I'm like,
and there's hints of stuff with her and Soups a little
bit. And Britt and I talked about this when we did a Super Wonder through the animation. So I wouldn't. Also, Superman doesn't have the trunks,
right? Also, something else I should point out, because I mentioned Super Friends. You know, technically, Super Friends was the first time Cyborg was part of the Justice League.
Really? I didn't know that.
That was the first time. Before Jeff Johns, there was precedent that Cyborg was part of the Justice League.
Mm-hmm. Which, when you think about it, it works better in the Jeff Johns era, because here's why. The Justice League was also aged down.
Well, yeah, but
so it makes more of a sense, because I mean, I talked to, hey, what's up, Tavia? I talked to Britt about this, and she also is not really that on board with Cyborg on the League. But I said the thing about it only works if the League is like younger,
right?
Because then he's the baby of the Justice League.
Yeah,
but yeah, so this is you could actually consider this a mini Flashpoint movie, kind of. Because it's going back in time and screwing up the timeline.
Yeah.
So we say, wait a minute here. You know, I literally just realized this. Time Trapper.
What about, wait.
I'm coming at this because my first exposure to the Time Trapper character that I know is Time Trapper is the current Superman stuff.
Really? Not even Legion of Three Worlds?
No, I never read that.
Oh, dude. Jeff Johns was George Perez doing all 3 Legions.
Oh, that's dope.
And this was before He Should Not Be Named.
Oh, wait, Legion of Three Worlds. Is that the one with Superboy Prime?
Yep.
I did read that. Okay, now I know that.
And he was the Time Trapper. And that's where established Time Trapper is a sentient paradox, which explains his different identities.
Yeah, okay. So the idea is, Lex is
like... He was in Zero Hour. He was also in Zero Hour.
Yeah, so Karate Kid. So you could say he's a big Cobra Kai fan.
Basically.
Yeah. Oh, you could also say he's a big fan of Cobra Kai. And I had to. So
you got that backwards.
Yeah, so Cobra Kai, I'm just gonna call him that, whatever. Breaks. So
no, I would say Zuko. I would say Zuko.
Okay, Zuko. So in the beginning of the movie, the Justice League fights the Legion, and Lex is frozen, and then he stays frozen for 1,000 years.
Yep.
And then he gets thawed out, goes back in time, has the idea of like.
Well, first he finds out about the Superman's identity.
Superman's identity from like the Legion, like.
I love that, like Clark Kent.
Yeah, but I love that where there have been some stories where like someone told Lex, and Robert for some reason bopped out, so I'll wait for him to come in. But yeah, he also appeared in Zero Hour, which was fun. Oh yeah, there is that. All right.
I was trying to exit an app, and then instead I actually hit the X on the browser. Don't you hate?
It's all good, but it's like I was gonna say, isn't it kind of? I love where this is one of the good parts of John Byrne's Superman when the machine prints out that Clark is Superman.
Oh yeah, like,
Lex can't believe it.
I love it. He's like, it makes sense. Of course it does.
He's like, this machine is broken, and I'm like,
no, yeah, because he can't fathom the idea of Superman at all having a different identity, hiding among the people, because he wouldn't do it.
Hiding as Clark. That's partly why it works so well.
Agreed.
But I did really enjoy that. So he decides to go back in time and make it so Superman never came to Earth, or like he technically did, but like
they send it back.
They send him back into space. So
and I love how they won.
Yeah.
Not only did they stop and prevent it, they then blew up the Kents.
Oh yeah, the Kents die in this. And I'm like, oh god, this is dark.
Yeah, Toyman blew them up.
Or like he caused the car to crash. And
there was a bomb in there.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, oh wow, this is really dark. So Dawnstar and Dawnstar is my favorite Legionnaire, and Karate Kid decide, okay, so we know Lex is still frozen at this point because the Lex that's currently screwing up the timeline is from the future. So let's go and unfreeze Lex. That way, Time Trapper will have to get rid of
because Time Trapper is working under him. He's doing it until he can break free. Of course, what they don't realize is that by doing that, they're going to create such a massive paradox that's going to free Time Trapper.
Yeah, exactly. So they do that, and like, so what's kind of cool is I love how this turns out. It's like Time Trapper it's the stereotypical, no one's going to be able to beat me. Then Superman just lands and goes, yeah, I would.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I love that. That is so good. And I really do. So the other thing that I think is kind of funny, if you look at the Superman design, it's actually very Man of Steel-y, which makes sense because this came out in 2014 and Man of Steel was 2013.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So they were probably inspired by that. So it's like
probably.
Okay. But I also love when Robin is doing monitor duty, he's playing video games. He's like, I gotta go.
I'm positive this had to be the Jason Robin.
This is probably Jason.
His attitude also Jason.
Batman fights in space in his spacesuit, but he just in his bat suit, but he just has like a helmet on. And I'm like, the suit can operate in space?
Well, yeah.
There's a vacuum. That's like in the Zdarsky run where all he did is he covered his mouth.
Okay, you got a point there.
I'm like, yeah, like put it this way, if that suit could like survive in space, there's no way he should be as nimble as he is.
Good point.
But yeah, it's cartoon logic. I'm here for a dope story. And honestly, for how little this movie gets talked about, it's actually pretty solid.
It is.
It's fun. It's short too. It's like 52 minutes, and I'm like, oh,
and
it's
it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and on the cliffhanger, and I'm like, we won't get a resolution to that, but that's just the way comics
But
work.
they clearly did it hoping they could. Like this was clearly meant to be. My guess is before it released, it was meant to be a spin-off series, but then as it got released, they were told, nah.
Yeah, and then Dave says, was this one targeted at a young audience?
Yes.
Seems like it. Was it any good? Yep, I think it was fun.
But even though it was targeted at a younger audience,
it doesn't talk down to you.
It's definitely slightly older than the DC Superhero Girls show.
I'd say it's more 13 and on if I had to put an age on that. Which, I'm totally fine with it, because the thing about watching, like, even DC Superhero Girls kind of falls into this, because it's like when you're watching stuff that's leaning toward a younger audience, it can come out as like Dora the Explorer level. This doesn't do that at all. In fact, this is like the Kents get bombed in this. I'm like,
I know.
I forgot the Kents die in this one. I'm watching this last night. I'm like, oh God.
Exactly.
Fun fact that this was based off of toys. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
That explains a lot.
It does explain a lot, and the character design stuff. And this would not be the first time that toys or statues would inspire DC stories, as in the case of Gotham City Garage, which was one of my favorite Elseworld stories ever.
Yep.
It was so good. Rivaldo says, I think it was free for a while on YouTube, and it was on streaming.
Yep. And it was on Max. It was on Max for a while.
Yeah, they rotate a lot of that stuff out, which I'm like, oh, come on. I was about to watch that. But again, so now the character designs I do like. Let me put it this way. I love Wonder Woman. I think they did a good job with her. Batman, I actually enjoy. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull it up on a thing, JLA Adventures. I'm going to pull it up on the screen and check it out.
Batman, how can you botch up Batman?
And they even did like the gray and blue like bat look, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's not bad. Aquaman, I'm like, it's interesting. Yeah. So here's what we got. So here's the Robin. Actually, he doesn't really have that many sideburns. He just has the edgy haircut.
Yeah, he has a mullet.
Yeah, I love the Wonder
Trish
Woman
would hate it. Trish would hate that.
Yeah, super mullet. If you notice, look at the S in the suit for Superman. It looks Man of Steel Henry Cavill.
Yep.
Like, especially here. He even has the New 52 belt.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's actually really cool. And I like the contrast of the silver. I also don't mind Wonder Woman with a cape. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I like it with a cape. I've enjoyed seeing her with a cape in the past.
I miss it. That was one of the good things they did with Rebirth when they gave her a cape. And I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of dig that. That's not horrible.
I still remember some stories of her having a cape, like in Justice League the Nail.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, and here's a zoom in image of the sword. They even gave her the sword and shield in this. And I'm like, okay, I dig that. Lex Luthor is just the typical Lex Luthor. The cheetah design, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
Everyone else I'm fine with, but Cheetah is the one where I'm like, aha. Right, here's a zoomed in image of Robin. Yeah, it's either sideburns or it's the mask that like has a weird design, but I'm like, okay, and I think that's Dick Grayson if he has the bow staff.
That's no, Tim's usually the one with the bow staff.
Or Tim. It's actually, it's probably Tim Drake.
You're right. It's probably Tim.
Yeah, because with this, I'm like, I will say I love the scene where they get dropped off by the cab, and the cab goes, "What about the fare?" And then Dawn is like, "Oh yes, it was more than a fair trip." I love that.
That's Laura Bailey voicing her.
Yeah, I love Laura Bailey. Yeah, Laura Bailey. There you go. That's a good one. And Dawn Star's design I really like too, with the wing, with the gold on the wings.
Yep. Also, Robin was Jack Dacina, Sokka from Avatar.
Oh, okay, that works.
You had Corey Burton killed it as Time Trapper.
Yeah, exactly. Because he sounded scary.
Yep. Also, Jason Spisak, from Green Lantern. What was his name again?
Yeah, here's the Aquaman design that I'm not a fan of.
That looks more like Aqualad.
That looks more like Aqualad. Exactly.
The Jackson Hyde one.
This is what, and it's not like he has to have the long hair and a beard, but it's like.
Yeah, but no, that's fine. It's the outfit.
It's the outfit, because I'm like, at least give him the sleeves. Come on.
Yeah.
He looks like Cameron brings up a good point. He looks like a teenager.
He does. He looks like Jackson Hyde.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone else looks good. Okay, again, this is my problem. When I'm watching, the first time I watched this movie, until he was identified as Captain Cold, I thought that was Mr. Freeze. I'm like, why do you sound like Mr. Freeze?
That's true.
I'm like, what the hell, man? But it's like, but everyone else I think was pretty good. The flash suit's good. I love Toyman's design.
You know what? That's the Super Friend design.
Yeah, I love that.
They actually made it wooden.
Yeah, and I think that really works for the character and stuff. I also I like the whole scene when they're like fighting over the little bassinet.
Yep. And I said, and then ends up with the end. The bomb. Boom.
Yeah, and then again,
when that happened, you realize, how can they undo that? I love that. For that moment, you wonder, how are they going to undo that? Because
even if they cast this ship and bring it back, I love how Flash finally comes back and goes, "Okay, just raise your son right." Oh, wait. Just do whatever you do. Just do whatever you do. You're good.
Yeah, exactly.
And just personally not a fan of the Sword and the Shield. It's just another typical warrior princess thing. Okay, yeah, and
they don't play it off that way though. Here, if you ask me.
Yeah, but here's the thing, NJ. What I'm gonna say for the point, the Sword and the Shield does not have to be your only thing. With me, it's just dependent on what she's doing.
Exactly.
Most of the time, yeah, the lasso and gauntlets is totally fine. But if she's like fighting like Doomsday, go with the Sword and the Shield.
Yeah.
Think of it like she is a warrior, because that's part of like the Amazon thing. So it's about having the right tool for the right job.
And here it's fine. And plus, when kids are playing it, they want a sword and shield.
Well, not only that, she doesn't have the sword and shield the entire movie.
Yeah.
Just in the beginning is where, and fighting Time Trapper is when she really has it.
When she needs it.
Yeah, exactly. When she needs it. And I'm like,
yeah, see, look at her right there. She has the lasso.
Yeah. Are there writers that go overboard with that? Yes. We are not going to say no to that. But it's like, even in the marketing for, actually, no, she does have the sword there. But it's like, and then Cameron says, fun fact, this was the first movie I watched where Kevin Conroy wasn't Batman. Oh.
By the way, the voice of Superman is Peter Jessup. Have you ever played Mass Effect?
Yes.
He's the voice of Sovereign.
Oh, really?
Yep, you exist because we allow it, and because we demand it, or all that.
That's such a good move, a good game series. I love that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, he's also. Oh, he was also Wesker in the Resident Evil remake.
That's dope. All right, quick thing. You'd think that Flash would check the baby before he hands him to the Kens.
Well, to be fair, I don't see what. It's hard to see what point they made the switch.
By the way, you know what'd be interesting is if they did do a sequel to this, didn't undo it, they just brought the baby back, and then it turns into the Nail.
But except the Nail it went to someone else. It went to the
it's no,
Nail's when Amish people raised him.
Or like the ship came back somehow and then crash landed somewhere and then Amish raised it. Yeah, the D. Bradley Baker. Yeah, I liked him in a more serious Batman voice. I mean, I'm fine with like Brave and the Bold and such.
You know what? Yeah. There is setting a plot up, but it's also easy to explain. There's no Superman hacking Bizarro exists. You couldn't say Time Trapper because he was working with Lex.
Yeah, because Time Trapper, it seems that like Time Trapper was more of an enforcer.
Make up his rules for this. They kind of make up his rules.
Yeah, the way I kind of got it was, okay, so nothing is undone by time travel unless Time Trapper allows it, because he did say, I allow it.
Well, I think it's more of a case of so long as he's there, the change would have happened, but so long as he was there, he could decide it.
Yeah, okay. That kind of works, but then again, and it's just a time travel movie. But here's the thing on that. Here's the hole in that. By that logic, the Justice League should not have vanished when they undid.
But Time Trapper allowed it.
Okay, yeah.
Of course, it's the end result Lex wanted, and he's working with Lex until he can get let free.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Again, just the fact that Lex Effectively, the Lex we follow dies.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But you know what would have been nice as a little cameo is if in the back you see like the janitor and he has skeets.
Oh, except no, but that's the 20. That's a different century.
Oh, okay, I forgot.
That's
I forgot about that.
That's the 25th century or 26th century, I think. Let me double check.
And when is the Legion?
31st.
Oh yeah, that'd be way too far.
Remember,
that.
Booster somehow got it. Oh, he's from the 25th century. Remember, Booster somehow got the hand of Brainiac's ring.
Mm-hmm. And then you do get some Superman Wonder Woman stuff, like when she is pulled up, about to be pulled up, and then Superman catches her, which I'm like, okay, if that's all I get, I'm fine with that. I will take that as little as that shows up. But also, the Darth Vader helmet makes its return.
Yep. The fact that it hasn't gone away.
Yeah, that is the design for the Legion of Doom. And I'm like, yep, this is one of those designs that's timeless because Darth Vader is timeless. It's really dependent on Darth Vader.
Right.
And yeah, again, it's like the cheetah design is weird. And I'm like, it's not even like the closest. It's like the head design and everything like that. And I'm like,
yeah, but I've seen worse.
I didn't like the Greg Rucka rebirth design for Cheetah. I was like, I see what you're doing, but it's I'm not digging that. Definitely not digging that. But it's like, but all in all, I think this was so what would you say is okay, so since this was your pick, Robert, so what made you pick this movie?
And it's just a movie I liked, and you hadn't brought it up before. I figured, why not? It's so underrated. It deserves a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. See, I think it's. I think part of it is the character designs because it's like people are like, do I really want to watch this?
I think also there was no hype for it.
That's true as well. It's probably because it's kind of forgettable. I mean, the plot is like stuff that we've seen over and over and over again.
True.
It's like another time travel story. So I can kind of see that. But let me put it this way. Is it a movie that I'll put on every now and then for fun? Yes. I would say so.
Definitely.
There's nothing here that I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah, exactly. And this, like I said, this is so underrated.
Yeah.
And also, it was a DVD only release, you know? It was only DVD. No Blu-ray, no nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So this is the lesson of just try out all sorts of different DC like iterations. You may find something you really enjoy.
A lot of people gave it high marks.
Yeah, exactly. And then Tevia brings up, personally, for me, I would have loved to see more of this universe. Yeah, exactly. It does open a can of worms. And then NJ says Cheetah is better when she's more here. Yeah, exactly. Let me put it this way. I think they've gone recently in the rebirth era way too far in the animalistic side.
Two things. One, that's why I like the 1 year later, where she actually switched back and forth. They kind of dropped that.
Yeah, that I'm fine with. Or like, it's like with that Cheetah design, I dug that. I was like, okay, that's
and
dope.
Two, I just realized something. If the DC AMU was based off of New 52, this was clearly modernizing Super Friends. I mean, they literally took a Super Friends story and modernized it.
Yeah, exactly.
That always made no sense. Like, how the heck do they know Superman's origins?
Yeah, I know, but
they never explain it. They never explain it.
That's a lot of what they did in those old cartoons. They're like, how does this work? They're like, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Which I'm like, all right, that works for me. And yeah, the ending. So the movie ends. So they seemingly undo it.
And then it's like Grodd's going to take over, and Lex is just wandering around the ice. And yet, for some reason, when Dawnstar and Zuko come back to the future, somehow Lex is now the greatest hero instead of
Wait
Superman.
a second. You know, I just realized.
What?
It's Zuko and his sister.
Nope. That's not.
Because Grey DeLuise voiced his sister.
Grey Delisle.
Yeah, exactly.
Azula, yes.
So it's Zuko and Azula.
Yep. Hello, Zuzu.
Yeah, and NJ says she almost overcame the curse. Yeah, exactly. So I prefer that form for Cheetah a lot more in terms of designs, and that's just me.
Yeah, but still, though. But yeah, somehow Lex has become, but we never find out how, and there's no setup.
And he's become like the greatest hero, I guess, for like the
You
statue.
know, my guess is because he still won the Arctic, he probably found the fortress.
No, he's not. He wasn't wandering the Arctic. Remember, Superman picked him up.
Wait a minute, let me double check.
Superman picked him up at the very end. He was wandering, and then Superman goes, "Okay, so Batman has prepared a nice
You're right.
Lakers."
Yeah, but we don't find out what happened.
Maybe they go along he becomes the president of the United States, and then he uses that position to take out everyone else.
But again, there's no. If anything, I would have thought Grodd would have been there. Since it ends on Grodd having plans, he would have ended with Grodd somehow winning.
Yeah, or even the Reverse Flash. Any of those would have worked.
No, I'm saying within those who were in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So you could have done that, and I'm like, okay, I kind of see what, but it's like, yeah, exactly. How? And I'm like, that's probably like the whole, we're gonna set up a sequel, even though it's not guaranteed we're gonna get a sequel.
Yep, but then also like I said, but again, Time Trapper. Now this is a case of you do something that has gone to the spirit of the character, even though it's not following the actual character.
Elaborate.
Well, like I said, Trapper's never been one about paradoxes and not making him stronger and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Time Trapper's just had his powers and all that to do that and manipulate time. He was always stuck at the end of time, never enslaved by the Legion.
All right, so a question I have for you with Time Trapper. So is he one of those beings that like takes can take the form of someone, or is it like someone becomes Time Trapper?
Someone becomes Time Trapper, but
so Doomsday is actually Time Trapper.
Currently, yes.
So actual Doomsday is Time Trapper. It's not like someone impersonating Doomsday.
No. It's like how when Superboy Prime became Time Trapper. Brainiac pointed out saying there were other times with other people, because there was a point where Cosmic Boy was there, and then someone else, a female, was the Time Trapper after 0 hour. And then, then Superboy Prime, they say he's a sentient paradox, always shifting his identity.
Yep, and I cannot think of a better time to play this clip.
Time travel.
Time travel.
I can use that clip, so it's like I gotta give
you a good excuse. I give you a good excuse.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, so that is very interesting because I didn't know that whole thing about Time Trapper. I thought it was like someone impersonating.
No. So currently, Doomsday is somehow, to be fair, Doomsday kind of makes sense a little.
But why is he so thin?
Given how long time has gone and everything and all that,
who knows? He's on Ozempic.
I'm just saying, given his evolution stuff, who knows what having nothing to fight would do with his evolution.
True. And what's up, Giratina? Yeah, that is true. But in terms of like,
remember, that's like he's like millions of years in the future.
That is true. And yeah, I figured it was probably Doomsday. My indicator for that is when he actually asked Superman to kill him.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Are you a fan
no, I'm not.
With me, it's like it depends on the video.
Me never was a fan, but just more than that, I didn't care for him.
Yeah, all right, it's fair enough. But it's like that's my point. When Doomsday says, "Okay, I need you to kill me," I'm like, okay, if it was just Time Trapper impersonating him, he wouldn't be bringing all that stuff.
Oh no, it is that. It is. Yeah. He is Time Trapper in this.
No, I mean, as opposed to Time Trapper because that's what I at first thought, because I know what the character is. But then when Doomsday says, "Kill me like you did before," and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, Time Trapper, like I said, here they make him a threat worthy of the character. It's just not exactly how the character is handled.
Yeah,
but it's a way that honors it.
I see. That makes sense.
Kind of like this is a case where such a change works.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, they got the overall gist of the character, like the basic plot. It's like when I'm okay with like Tower of Babel with like Doom taking changes from Tower of Babel, or like any of the DCAU movies. As long as they get the basic plot of the story, I'm normally fine with that.
Now,
Tosh being an exception.
Yep. Now it does make the Time Tower a bit of a generic Doomsday villain, ironically enough.
Yeah, I know Doomsday. That's a good one.
But because he kind of is where he just wants to destroy for the sake of destroying.
Yeah, and I'm like, it could be because this movie is aimed more toward kids.
Well, yeah,
so it's
obviously, and you have Lex being the more motivated one.
which that's understandable. It would have been cool actually to see the two Lexes meet, though.
Wasn't going to happen, obviously.
I know it would have been hilarious though to see like, oh, it's double. It's double.
Again, I did like the clever thinking, though. They realized like I said, they blew up the Kents. There was no way of just simply going back in time on undoing it.
Well, going back in time, they could do. There was no, let's fly up, grab Clark, and bring him back. We're good.
Yeah, exactly. The Kents blew up.
Yeah, it's like, it's not going to work.
It was not going. You were not going to. Basically, time was screwed.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, if you brought him back and just locked him there, it would have turned into the
interesting, Tavia. This was an interesting first time
travel. Fun fact about me:
he does look like this.
My first exposure to the villain was this movie he was made. Yeah, it was my first exposure. I was like, oh, who's this guy?
Well, yeah, like I said, if you look at him in some of his other appearances, when he shows up, he is a force to be reckoned with, always.
And that's the thing. It's like I put this in my reviews for the members, and by the way, consider becoming a member, everyone. I put this in here because I was reviewing the next John Ridley Superman issue, and I was like, here's the thing. I like how they're bringing in a lot of characters that either haven't appeared in the books for a long time or like don't get brought up at all. So I'm like, I'm appreciating that, like Time Trapper or Bruno Mannheim in that.
By the way, the guy who directed this, Giancarlo Volpe, he was the co-creator of the Green Lantern cartoon, and in his mind, this takes place in that world. Hal's just off planet.
Wait, so the Green Lantern animated series with Jeremy Adams?
Yep.
Oh,
that's
true. There is no Green Lantern in this.
Yeah, in the director's mind, this takes place in that world. It's just that Hal is not on planet, so this is the league of his world.
It could be that, like, yeah, while he's in the far, for lack of a better term, far sector, it's in that it's doing that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
So that means the Anti-Monitor in this world is a Terminator.
Apparently.
All right, fine. But that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, this movie did get a lot of praise for its fun factor and being kid friendly.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's very actually. What's kind of funny for a time travel movie? It's very straightforward.
Yeah, but again, I find that interesting that in his eyes, this takes place in that world, and basically, this is happening around the time while Hal is off Earth.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay, that
the designs kind of match up a little.
They kind of do, exactly. There were some questionable design stuff, but when you look at like Razor as a Red Lantern, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Oh, by the way, you want to know why they included Karate Kid and Dawnstar?
Why?
To offset the number of white males.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
And it is a case where that works. This is a case where that works.
That works.
Yep. But oh yeah, this was commissioned. Oh, here's why. This was commissioned by Target.
Oh, yeah, because they had the toys.
That explains a lot and explains why it was a done in one. There probably would have been more if the toys sold more.
Yeah, because, yeah, exactly. It does probably have a lot to do with that. And so I'm like, I see what's going on with that because there are plenty of characters and like, stuff and like animated series and stuff that goes on just because the toys sell.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the thing. A character may flop in terms of like comic sales, but if they do well merchandising wise, DC and Marvel will keep them going forever.
Yep. So again, the toys clearly, because I never even heard about the toys.
I've heard about it very briefly.
Right.
And I was like, because obviously I saw like,
this movie was much more recognized.
Yeah, the movie was, but it's like I knew the toys because going through Amazon for like DC collectibles, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then it's like, oh, okay, I now it makes sense that was commissioned by those people.
By the way, did you notice Wendy, Marvin, and Wonder Dog?
Wait, they're in this?
It's a non-speaking cameo. It's when Dawnstar and Karate Kid show up, and they're looking around, and they see the two on the phone, and Dawn starts complaining about the radiation from the phone.
Okay.
The dog on the leash.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's what that was.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Oh, here, hold on. I'll show it.
Yeah, I also do love they make the comment on cell phones. And I'm like, oh, how prophetic you were.
Yep. Hold on.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good. It's all good.
Hold on, let me share. I'm just going to share just the image of it.
Yeah, it's all good.
Where's... Ah, crap. Why isn't... Oh, there it is.
Okay. Oh!
Yep. That's Wendy and Marvin. Underdog.
Oh my god. Wow.
Better than post-crisis where Wonder Dog was a demon dog and ate Marvin.
What?
That was during Sean McKeever's run of Teen Titans. And that Wendy was the daughter of the Calculator. They were both the kids of the Calculator.
That's on the level of when He Who Must Not Be Named was writing Legion and had like the Wonder Twins come from an orgy planet.
And well, to be fair, Mark Russell wrote that.
Still.
But yeah, and then get this. Then the Calculator, upset that Marvin was dead, abducts Kid Eternity to try and force him to take the form of Marvin until he burned him out and killed him.
Wow. That is great. I love that. That is very interesting. I love that. Yeah. So all in all, I'm probably going to give this movie...
I give it 7.
Yeah, me too. 7. It's recommendable. It's very recommendable. Exactly. So let's go to a general Q&A. Let's do this. By the way, Robert, so they announced a bunch of new omnibus that are coming out. Tom King's Batman.
Oh, we talked about that a while ago.
Yeah, we talked about it. Was only a matter for his Batman. It's a matter of time because they will release omnibuy for Batman forever.
Yep. Can you link me that so I can look at it?
Sure. And we're also getting. Hang on.
Because I want to see this list.
Okay.
Just put in the private chat.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like so far it's on a Facebook post. Okay, here we go.
Facebook. All right.
Gail Simone's Birds of Prey is getting one. Hey,
probably a multi. That's gonna be a multi-volume one.
Yeah, it says volume 1. Let's see. We're getting Scooby-Doo Apocalypse.
Oh, is that gonna be in 1 or 2?
1.
I love Scooby.
920 pages.
I love Scooby Apocalypse.
Yeah, and Tom King's Batman is going to be, I know I have to play the clip, which I'll do in a second, but it is going to be multi-volume, which makes sense.
You might want to rethink him on the list a little, because it's becoming really repetitive. Why did you say that name?
Let me put it this way, I don't do it on the Super Wonder show, because Britt and I say it way too many times.
Because given after what happened a while ago.
And we're getting volume 2 of Scott Snyder and James Tynion's Justice League.
Ooh, nice.
Which I like that run. I may have to pick that one up because I only have a couple of trades. And then we're getting House of Mystery, The Bronze Age Omnibus, volume 1, new edition. So it's a reprint.
Yep. The Wake, a new edition. That's
Why the Last Man, book 1 and compact. Okay, interesting. I probably
American
pick that
Vampire.
Up. Okay, that makes sense. Shazam volume 4.
Containing the rest of that run.
Red. Two-Face Trial and Separation.
Now, I didn't know that was an ongoing. I said that was always going to be a mini, and then but apparently they canceled it to a mini.
And of course, Batman Dark Patterns, and that's the one with Hayden Sherman art. So I like that.
Grant Morrison book 2, White Knight present a deluxe edition of Generation Joker and Harley Quinn together.
Oh, and by the way, Cameron asked, what was your favorite part of the movie? When Superman shows up and goes, yeah, you might. When they do the stereotypical, the villain's like, no one can stop me, and then the Justice League returns.
I'd have to say that too.
Because it's stereotypical. It's like this is gonna happen, but just the way it happens, he just smacks down and lands and goes, yeah, I wouldn't exactly count on that.
Yeah, but I say, you have Generation Joker and Harley Quinn. They're both getting a deluxe edition in one.
Oh, Arkham Asylum is getting a DC compact.
Oh, yep, a DC Compact. New
Blood and
52
Guts
Wonder
is getting
Woman.
one.
Batman Tom King Book 2. Okay, I said it.
Last time I'm gonna play the clip.
Yeah, because I was just reading. Should that count?
Why did you say that name?
Last time.
Least favorite part. I didn't really have a least favorite.
Least favorite. Me neither. It's pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
Yep. Oh, probably because Dan Slott's coming on board, they decided to give Living Hell a deluxe edition.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, so it's not bad. It's a pretty good choice. You know they were gonna do his Batman run, and I'm like, yeah, it is about time because I'm like,
yeah, they just did Tinian's detective run.
yeah. So it's like, but I have to pick that up because I love the like Batman team like dynamic they had in that. That was great.
Yeah. Oh, apparently they didn't ask what was our most favorite. They just Cameron just asked what our least favorite in general
Well,
was.
still, we gave both, so there you go. We gave you two for the price of one. There you go.
Yep. But yeah. So I mean, you can tell I'm a big omnibus collector. Well, but if I already have the issues, I'm less likely to, unless, like in the case of the JSA omnibuses, the only reason why I got Volume 3.
What?
Because the last couple issues of the original JSA were in that before leading the Justice Society.
Yeah, with me, so I got the new 52 Justice League Omnibus set, even though I have it all in trades, because that was like the first series that really got me into comics. So it's a little more meaningful. So I'm like, yeah, it's like if they released a Superman Wonder Woman new 52 Omni, I would definitely buy that because it's like, again, my channel's based largely around that. So I'm like,
yep. And in my case, I usually will get something like, for example, I got the Doomsday Clock Absolute Edition, because I had the Absolute Watchmen.
Oh, there you go.
So I wanted to have them next to each other.
Yeah, and that was good. I got the regular on both. I may pick up an Absolute of either one.
By the way, when Jeff Loeb is at the convention, I'm taking my Absolute Hush from the sign because I had Jim Lee sign it.
Oh, dude!
Want to see it?
Yes, please. Of course you. Of course. Bro. Robert is going to keep making me jealous. He's always going to make me jealous. So it's like, all right. Any hope of the return of Sensation Comics with Absolute Wonder Woman selling well? Okay, that's a good question, NJ. I think the main Wonder Woman book also has to sell well. The main and I'll let Robert weigh in on this. I think they can bring back Sensation if the main Wonder Woman book also sells well. You lucky bastard.
And he also signed my Detective 1027. Of course, I had to pay quite a bit of money to get this.
Of course.
There was one case where you had to pay to go into his event, and that was the only time he was doing autographs.
I did that, but then he got COVID. But luckily, it was supposed to be you get like signed posters. So it was like he still signed all the posters. So I got one.
Yeah.
But yeah, NJ brings up a good point. Any hope of the return for the Sensation? If the main Wonder Woman book also sells well, yes, they could.
You would have to. That's the thing. Remember, look at me with Superman. You both have a movie coming out, and Superman's selling the best he has in a long time.
Let me put it to you this way. All I've ever said with like Absolute is that it would maybe convince DC that maybe they should invest more in Wonder Woman. So as far as we know, maybe, but the main book, they would have a bigger argument if the main book also sells better than it does.
Yeah, Absolute, they're clearly not going to do any spin-offs for the Absolute books yet.
No, but I don't think they meant in terms of an Absolute Sensation, but still.
No, I know, but I'm saying but that wouldn't, because they would look at it as it's the main line.
Yeah. You would have to get the main Wonder Woman book to sell better. And by the way, Britt and I are going to do an episode on that in the near future, so be on the lookout for that.
Right.
But yeah, it's like the only thing Absolute would really influence is them saying maybe we should put more effort into picking who writes Wonder Woman.
Okay, I just got an interesting question to ask. What's a collection, an omnibus or a trade that you've seen that you're like, why the hell was this given given a collective edition?
Oh, that's a good question.
I got one.
What? Go ahead.
I'm gonna go grab it.
Yeah, he's gonna grab it. So,
Yes, I do.
I got to think about that. If Warner Brothers makes a sequel to this movie, what other Justice League heroes and villains would you want to see in a sequel? Here's the thing, Tevia. I'll wait for Robert Twain, but they technically can't make a sequel to this because it's like it was commissioned by Target for toys. It was designed to sell toys, unless they brought back the toy line, which they're not going to do. Oh, he's got multiple on to buy. It's like,
funny enough, they're all Avengers related.
oh, let's see. And Robert, what do you think of Tevia's question?
That's a tough one, especially if this was meant, at least from the director's point of view, he felt this took place in Green Lantern. I don't know.
Hal Jordan.
Well, Hal, yeah, by this point, yes.
Maybe they could also bring in Star Sapphire because she was in that show.
They could, but here's one.
The Gathering, okay.
Yeah, this was during the leather jacket era of the Avengers.
Oh.
Now here's one that's even more so. This is right after it.
Oh.
The one where they kill off Tony and give us Kid Tony.
Oh, so that's before Heroes Were Born, right? Oh, most notorious narratives. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, funny you say that because.
Oh, nice. By the way,
this one I can at least understand to a point, but still.
Yeah, because it was a big thing there. By the way, Mac brings up, what are your thoughts on Batman, Dark Age, Superman, Space Agents? Yeah, I love them.
We love the Superman one. We still got to go over the Batman one, and him doing a Wonder Age. Yeah,
it's about time.
It's a trilogy.
So you have to no, you don't have to support King. You just have to like put it this way: wait until the King run ends, and then and then we can promote the main Wonder Woman book. I'm not saying support King at all.
NJ, basically, now's not the time to hope for it.
Yeah, do not, because here's the thing: it's not going to it's not going to work, because as far as we know, King's run is not going to last past issue maybe 50.
If we're generous.
If we're generous, 50. I've always said 30 to 50 is where is the range where I'm gonna say it ends. But after he leaves, yes, promote. If the run afterwards,
or they get a good writer.
Here's the thing: let's say they get a good writer and everything like that. Like I said with Absolute Wonder Woman, if it trending, and by trending I mean if it consistently sells better than it did, like I would say even top 20 I'll take. If it's in the top 20 consistently, I will say that may be for Wonder Woman, that is huge.
Right. Oh yeah, I know another case of a book that got a collection that I can say, okay, I get it for the art but not the story. For Tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a case where you're like, really?
I like a lot of For Tomorrow. The only thing I don't like is Mr. Orr, like when he's like sexualizing Wonder Woman. I'm like,
Not just that, but just the whole idea of I've hated how Azarello, he looked at Superman as an alien.
Yeah. I'm like, you can't just you know, it's kind of funny.
The point where he says he has Lois say, she loves you, not me, and it went to the Clark robot. I'm like, you don't know the character.
Yeah, you clearly don't.
Not this version of the character.
I don't even like Lois, and I know that's false.
At least this version, yes. Some versions, yes, but not this one.
Not the post-crisis version of Lois. Even I know that.
Yeah, and yet they treat it like, again, he doesn't get it because as far as he thinks, he's an alien. A cold alien. And that's one thing I just never liked about it.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? The only thing I ever see people bring up about that is the Jim Lee art, which there you go, that works.
I mean, come on, you got Lois wrapped up in the cape, which is like we haven't seen something that sexy since Lois and Clark.
And you get another Superman versus Wonder Woman moment.
I love this, like no, and then when he tells her to get away from the orb. No.
I love where he so she cuts him and he flicks his blood and it cracks her sword.
Sword, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Even his blood can crack a sword. The blood.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's actually really cool. And I'm like, that's very well done.
Yeah, as far as things getting collections, those are my real, like, really? Like, seriously, the Crossing. The freaking Crossing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to see, what do I think got a collection that was like, well, that's interesting.
By the way, I also got a couple of art writer and people signing this one, The Crossing.
Ah, there you go.
And Califro, Andy Lanning, and Jim Chung.
Yeah. So by the way, so I mentioned about there are some Rebirth series that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first Rebirth series that I read that I was like, I may not like the status quo, but this is really well done.
Yep.
Yeah. Even though, because
one friend is Manipul.
Well, yes. And they do address the Wonder Woman and Superman stuff, but he doesn't do it at like an a-hole. Wonder Woman says, I've moved on. He's dead. That's not the same guy. And I'm like, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Plus, you get Manipul on art and on like a lot of the issues. And he is one of my favorite comic book writers. It's to the point.
Writers or artists?
Both. It's to the, because remember, his Flash book is like incredible.
Right. Remember, but he had a co-writer.
Yeah, but still good. It's to the point. I'm considering adding the Tomasi Ghost Machine book just for his art.
All right. Hey,
I'm good. Considering.
It's good.
Yeah, I bet. And and this also has like Lauren Braga on art. And yeah, I really dug.
Lauren Braga, I love that. Love her.
Yeah, I think that Manipul is one of those guys. Yeah, it's not always true that an artist can write.
Oh yeah, definitely not. Not everyone can be like Miller or Jurgens.
Image showed us this, but I think he's one of them that can.
Now I'm still bummed out he never did his Flash Earth 1.
Yeah, exactly, because he gets the
character. Aquaman Earth 1.
He gets the character, and I really dug the character.
Yeah, he was going to do Eyes of One, you know?
Yeah. By the way, one of my favorite Rebirth Justice League moments is when Wonder Woman is training Cruz, and then the Watchtower is attacked. Then afterwards, Jessica Cruz says, "Thank you for training us, Wonder Woman." And she goes, "Training us? I was training with you, and you gave me quite a challenge." And then Jessica's like so happy.
Yep. I love that. Hey, here's a question for you. Since someone brought up the Mark Russell Superman of the Ages, would you ever want to see Kurt Busiek do a Wonder Woman take on Superman Secret Identity or Batman Darkest Night? The question is how. The question is how, and I think even he's asked that. He doesn't know how he would do it.
Oh, and Jamal Campbell's a good example. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, love that first issue.
It is so interesting to see a Zatanna book in the top 10. I'm like, wow.
Well, it was the other mini, the Mariko Tamaki one was as well. You know what? One thing I definitely like is that once again, Zatanna proves DC at least is not ashamed that they're hot characters.
Yeah, because Zatanna is clearly hot.
Now, have you read the first issue of the new series?
No, I need to.
Can I tell you one bit I liked in it?
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine. I'll still read
There's a point where she's having a harness because they're doing a stage act and everything for her show. And there's one point where she's talking about how snug it is. And I can't but wonder, are you talking snug on your rack? It's probably not, but I think that was intentionally meant to get suggested.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's
because it's a body one, so.
Okay, so you could have that. You could say that.
Yeah, you could say like, are you talking about snug on your rack?
Yeah, exactly. So the other Rebirth books I enjoyed is obviously Slade's. Yeah. Green Arrow I liked.
I still like Slade, but I still prefer Priestess Slade more.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the Rebirth Slade, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, at least the first 5. And then
right. Sorry, I was thinking about DCU Slade.
And then Green Lantern.
Right, duh.
That can do no wrong there for me. Yeah, exactly. Wonder Woman after Rucka I liked.
All right.
Well, actually, hang on.
Not the immediate arc.
I would say past year 1 and the first one are ones that I was like, okay, I can kind of see this. But it's like, still, it's that I've never been home thing where I'm like,
Yep.
How does
Oh,
this work?
yep. By the way, correction. She says it hitches up too high with the jacket, but when you look at the harness, it's around her rack.
Oh, there you
So
go.
if she's saying it hitches too high with the jacket, what else could she be, right?
Yeah. Also, here's the other Rebirth series I love, Justice League.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
yep.
I really dug that.
Well,
And
for the most part. Oh,
Jeff Lemire.
love that.
Yeah, exactly. It's rare, but there are great examples of writers.
I mean, I
and
know
artists.
you have issues with Jurgen, but even you have to admit, at least he's definitely far from the worst.
Who?
Jurgens?
Yeah, exactly.
He's definitely far from the worst.
NJ says the Titan series has become really boring for a long time and it always ends up with an evil Raven.
No argument there.
Yeah,
go
go ahead.
The fact that you had Tom Taylor, he was given the Titans to be the premier heroes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do anything.
You didn't do anything with it. Because here's the thing. That's a good idea. It was obviously temporary, but
it's only done for Beast World. That was it.
That was the yeah, and I'm like, it'd be one thing if the Titans fought Darkseid.
Yeah, but like they wrote it instead as a just typical Titans laissez-faire.
Yeah, that's why I never picked it up. I considered doing it, but I never did because I'm like, I'll just wait for them to inevitably bring back Justice League. I don't think they should have kept it going that long. That's status quo. I think it should have been like a year.
That's true. Yeah, Yeah.
It went way too long, and I was like, "Oh, come on."
By the way, you want to see it? Have you ever read the Paul Dini Zatanna book series?
No, I want to.
You want, and it has great artwork.
Yeah, I've heard it's great.
Take a look.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, that's good.
Look at her.
Hello, honey. That's great. I love that.
Remember, he's married to Zatanna, technically.
Yep. There you go.
That's always weird, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I think other Rebirth books I really like are I mean, up until issue 50, Tom King's Batman.
Right.
Except for the whole Batman by Suicide and the clear plagiarism of Superman Immortal Beloved.
Yep, I won't argue that one.
And
I'd say
those are pretty much the
All-Star Batman. All-Star Batman.
Haven't read that one. I read Detective Comics. That's pretty good.
Yep. New Superman.
I didn't read that.
Oh, you should, dude.
That's the Chinese one, right?
Yep. Jean Louis Liang writing it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, which we went over with Smash at the Clan.
Yeah. So when do you think the Rebirth era ended? I would have to say with Metal.
Yep, with Metal. Metal's when it ended.
The first one.
Yeah, definitely.
I think with that's also when they abandoned the whole Doomsday Clock being like the what they were building to.
Yep, it was once it basically we started. I would say actually No Justice is when it ended.
Yeah, I would say so.
But I will also say, you know what I'm surprised didn't derail it?
What?
Suicide Squad versus the Justice League.
Yeah. By the way, great event, by the way.
All right event.
I personally enjoyed it. That's just
for me. By the end, it amounted to nothing.
True.
And also you had Eclipso coming right the heck out of nowhere.
All it set up was like Batman having the Justice League of America. So they're doing that again.
Yeah, otherwise it didn't set up much. When I went over it was Tevion Proteins and Noob, it was a slog.
Yeah, to a degree. I can give
you
the
only thing I liked about it was Killer Frost Caitlin becoming a hero.
Yep, I'll give you that.
That was the only thing I wrote it right liked about it. And the funny thing is, Joshua Williamson wrote it. And and this is one case where I'm like, this was your early work.
My favorite Joshua Williamson book was Batman Superman with
Batman Who Laughs. And
I love that one.
I also love where you had Zod and Raish.
That was really good. I love that one.
And you get a confusion. You have this being Rebirth, and yet the League, and they're writing it like I think it was meant for a New 52 event, because they treat it like it's the first time the League met the Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah.
See what I mean? Why this is confusing?
Because wait, when did they meet them before in the New 52?
They never did. I'm saying that. Post-crisis, they knew about them.
But they never. Yeah, it's true. They never met them in the New 52. I was trying to wonder. I was like, when did they?
They never did.
Oh, okay.
They might have had a few run-ins, but they looked at it like they say in the story that it was a like, oh, the villains they just thought the villains were just teaming up.
That is
a post-crisis. They knew, because if you look back at Identity Crisis, they knew, because it was publicly known, at least by like legal systems, when villains were going to be put into Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So that's one thing that royally confused me. Like, wait, is this supposed to be Rebirth? Now, granted, I think this came out right before Superman Reborn.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it was?
Yeah, it was, because Superman is still in his Rebirth suit.
Yeah, so they didn't remerge the timelines yet.
What's your opinion about the Batman Who Laughs? Because personally, he's the most... Okay, here's my problem with the Batman Who Laughs. They overused him.
Overused him and made him then too big for his britches.
Yeah, it's like the minute he becomes a god by putting Dr. Manhattan's by putting his brain in Batman Hatton, I'm like, no.
Bruce Hatton, I call him. Bruce Hatton.
All right, that's good. But the point, the minute they do that, I'm like, no.
But to be fair, it kind of worked. The idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
Overused, but I wouldn't say overrated.
Everywhere. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm like, yes, keep him dead.
You know what I feel also about the Batman Who Laughs? He should be called the Batman Who Yaks. Because he would not shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Even Joker says that.
Perpetua.
I love Perpetua.
The concept is interesting. I just feel like they kind of overcomplicated the multiverse and like all the crisis events.
Right, but here's what I feel. And Perpetua was an interesting character in that, yeah, she was the mother of them. There was a crisis beforehand. And I love it how we finally got a face to the source and the hand. We finally got a face to the hand at the beginning of time. It was Perpetua's hand.
Okay, I can give you that.
It does raise one continuity kerfuffle.
Which is?
When the Jeff Johns revealed, when the Guardians look back, the hand wore a lantern ring. Remember? Leading up the War of the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, okay.
But that was more of a needless retcon for Jeff to do, if you ask me.
Yeah, I feel like
they didn't do anything with that.
I feel like that was him going, look at how important my stuff is.
Yeah, but the stuff with Perpetua leading to the source, and then and all that stuff, I found interesting.
That was pretty good. I was like, yeah, and that's the thing. That Justice League run was actually really dope. And the hands.
No, they're not above. They work for the presence. They work for him.
No, yeah.
The presence is God. The presence is God, and they work for God.
And the Spectre is the wrath of the presence. Then.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's good.
Now, there's one dumb thing I had with Dark Crisis. It's the downplaying of the whatever the creatures were from Multiversity. The Dark Hand. I like that it was the hand that shook the hand with Swamp Thing and all that, the light. But it just feels like you just downplayed this big, huge force that Morrison had set up.
I'll give you that.
That was probably the one downside I ever had was Dark Crisis, was that they downplayed that.
Because overall, Dark Crisis was actually pretty solid.
Oh, I love Dark Crisis. And the fact, I still love how it's a grounded crisis. It's the most grounded crisis we ever had.
It's of the crises that have come out, this is the one that's probably the easiest to understand.
The easier to understand, but also when you realize it, the whole point of it is Deathstroke trying to bring everything to a crisis level, where the skies go red and everything, without bringing in the multiverse.
That makes sense.
That was the whole point of what Pariah wanted.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of DC characters, the original Metal, that reminds me, how did you feel about Neil Gaiman's Sandman appearing in that book?
Oh, that was useless.
Yeah, I was like, what use did you play in that book?
Was Daniel? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
was it Daniel or David?
Whichever one. But the point is, like, you're pointing... the only thing he did was, like, point Batman, look over there!
Yeah, so it felt like he just wanted to include him. And it wasn't bad for what it was just pointless.
Yeah, I'm like, why are we doing this? You sure? It's not like Batman interacts with Sandman a lot.
By the way, can I tell you one miniseries that still baffles me because they never cleared it up?
Yeah.
The Death of Hawkman. Remember that mini?
No.
It killed off the Carter Hall New 52 Hawkman, and yet they never explained anything about it.
Interesting.
They never explained it. You had the Sparrow there, and by the end, he's a skeleton. So they literally killed him off. And I remember Vendetti talked about explaining it, and if he did, it was a brush-off statement.
I still have to read that Hawkman run because everyone's telling me it's
that was so good.
Everyone's telling me it's amazing, so I need to pick that up.
And
that needs to be an omnibus.
Even though it got derailed by the Infected, it lasted still well past it.
Oh yeah, you mean that you know how Hawkman became the Hawkman who laughs?
Whatever it was, just
the Hawkman who ha-has.
They said it was just the infect. He was just infected.
Yeah, I think it was that because in the Batman Superman book, it's like because it was like, who are the Secret Six? It's like Donna Troy, Supergirl, Blue Beetle, Hawkman.
I can't believe I'm saying it.
What?
That Donna Troy book written by what's her name? That one, and you know the woman that that Gamergate went after. She did Depression Quest.
Anita Sarkeesian?
No. Not Anita.
Gamergate went after. What are you talking about?
The other one that Gamergate went after. Zoe Quinn.
Yeah.
That comic she wrote wasn't all that bad.
All right. NJ says, I never got this, but how powerful are the old gods and new gods comparison in DC?
Depend. Okay. May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
It depends. Theoretically, the new gods are supremely powerful, but they stay in avatar forms.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good way of putting it? Like they stay in an
avatar
because
it's form. Like that's why you can never really kill Darkseid because you're just killing his avatar.
Well, for the most part, they do toy with that a bit.
They toy with it, but he always. But that's like their other excuse to how he always comes back. And they actually played with this really well in Final Crisis.
I will just say this. They do also, I've noticed, if you notice one plot point they seem to repeat, Darkseid has merged with all the other Darkseids. He did that twice.
Yeah, but I'm like, there shouldn't be any other Darkseids.
Oh, no, well, then how would you explain Elseworlds? That's the one thing that bothers me. You have Elseworlds where there are other Darkseids.
Again, it's like they shouldn't include Darkseid.
Like Jurassic League, you have a dinosaur type Darkseid.
You shouldn't because it's like there's only one Darkseid.
Well, to be fair, I think there are still some siphons, like in not Infinite Frontier.
Well, actually, here's how you can explain that. If it's his avatar, he just splits up his consciousness into all those different avatars.
Yeah, they had during it wasn't Justice League Incarnate, where he's dealing with a Thanos representation, and he calls him a pale imitation.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Although, to be fair, I never liked that.
Only, no, Barda and Scott do not.
Okay, but here's the other thing, though. That was something Morrison came up with, not Jack.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, right? Jack did not treat them as actual gods.
Mm-hmm.
That was something Grant introduced.
He treated them as like uber powerful beings.
But you know what his influence was? Chariot of the Gods. The whole idea of what we think of as gods, we're just highly advanced aliens.
It's kind of like how Marvel calls Thor the god of thunder, but he's really just an alien.
Well, they took that more literally in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm talking about like the Eternals.
Yeah, exactly.
When you had like, we were your gods. I've met a god. You're not a god. No, I'm not.
But NJ, really the one that is known for the Avatar thing is Darkseid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of that. That's why, like, because in the lead up to Final Crisis, all the new gods were like, air quote, killed, and that's why, like, in the Club Darkseid, everyone you see like Steppenwolf and all those different guys.
And Moore's gonna be on an episode of Superman. When was this announced?
Where was this? No, remember he did the cover. It's not necessarily mean he's going to be on
right. He's not doing the we're getting 5th, 6th, 5th, 4th, and 3rd printings.
Yeah,
and again, I gotta say, by Tom Brevoort, just Logic, Oh, people want to see everything put in.
They want to see Wonder Woman from hell.
Lose his arm.
Yeah, or like have one arm. Question: speaking of the death of mini-series with the character, I'm wondering if you guys read The Death of Vic Sage, the question, Death of Captain Adam. No.
Okay, first, The Death of Vic Sage was a good one. It's a Black Label book. And the deaths, and it wasn't the death of Captain America, it was the death and rise, where basically his 80s post-crisis writers, Carrie Bates and Greg Weisman, return and want to refix the new 52 version of Captain Adam and make him back to more post-crisis stuff. Because I'm sorry, as much as I like JT Crow, and the idea was interesting, the idea of making Captain Adam pretty much Manhattan was a mistake.
Yeah.
That was a massive mistake.
I agree.
So yeah, it wasn't the death of Captain Adam, it was the death and rise.
Yeah.
Because again, they were just trying to restart him.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, Captain Adam, unfortunately, both in universe and out of universe stuff was the same thing. He's overshadowed by Superman. In fact, post-crisis, he was going to make his debut, and he was ready to. He was flying into Metropolis, and what happens? The space plane goes to crash, and this flying guy catches it. In other words, Superman took his spotlight literally moments before.
Well, that's normally what happens to these characters, but
And did you know he's also time displaced?
Of course he is.
Because that's part of his powers.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, basically, once he gained his powers, he jumped years to the future, and he knows that the jug was that, and then the fact that he's second fiddle.
And then NJ says, who's the biggest jobber? I don't know what that means.
What's a jobber?
Hang on. I'll look it up. Or is it like a typo? Let me see. Oh, Urban Dictionary. It is a professional wrestler who frequently deliberately loses matches. Oh, who loses the most? I think.
Who gets warped and warp effect, in other words.
Yeah.
Spectre. Spectre gets that way worse.
Yeah.
Adam, not really. I don't usually see Adam that often getting warp effect just to make the bad guy look better.
Well, because here's the thing. Spectre arguably is less justifiable because he's the literal wrath of God.
And he's the bigger thing to punch. But yeah, Adam, no. I cannot usually see. Although, like I say, I still loved Adam during Doomsday Clock. What he said, forget Superman. The last thing you're going to see is Captain Adam. And he said that to Manhattan.
I love that.
Who was based off of him.
Yeah, because wasn't it like Morrison wanted to use like Captain Adam and stuff, but they wouldn't let him?
Wait, what?
Wasn't it like that's why like Manhattan was created because Morrison wanted to write?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
He was willing to write it, but after they looked at the story, they realized there's not going to be anyone left for us to use after you're done, because it was meant to be a relaunch of it. So they said at the end of the story, they're like, it's a great story, but what are we to have left to do with these characters?
Okay, I see.
You killed most of them off or sent them away.
Wait,
Adam has not kept exploding. He only exploded in Deceased. I cannot think of any and Injustice, but other than that, he has not. Where Spectre has been pounded or over like in JLA Another Nail. They have like a huge battle going on top of the Spectre. Also, Black as Night, the Spectre got taken over.
Yeah.
And in Dark Crisis, the Spectre got taken over.
Or wait, how about in All In? The Spectre got taken over by Darkseid.
Exactly. See, Spectre
and the Flashpoint movie.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the movie though.
The movie, not the comic. And the comic is not that.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I can only count on one hand, whereas Spectre, I can at least get up to two hands.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so I think that's a good place to leave it. And then, Robert, where can we find you and what we got coming on your channel?
You're gonna put the link down below, and we got I got still a bunch of pro teachers noobs that lessons in the can. In fact, I'm leading up to one of the collaborators, Pika Shades. He's coming up on his 100th, and we're gonna go over the life and times of Scrooge McDuck.
Heck yeah. So for me, At 9 p.m., Britt and I will be going live for Super Wonder Legacy. We're going to be comparing Superman and Wonder Woman to Winter Soldier and Black Widow. Yes, technically Captain America and Black Widow. So this is one of my most requested episodes. So we're finally getting to that.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of movie night next week, we'll get back to you guys on that. And then since anything under 2 caves, I'm going to try and have Drew on. We couldn't do it yesterday because I had work. But yeah, that's about all I got. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs 6 feet in the ground. She belongs with General. She belongs with General Zod. Zois and Max about for life. I'll see you later. Bye bye.